Greetings and welcome back to the weekly news roundup. I hope that everybody had a wonderful week, getting ready for a wonderful weekend. Ivan is out today enjoying a dinner party, so we wish him well. But that means that I'm over here with the bigger band hammer, and I'm not as nice as Ivan is, so be nice or feel the hammer. All right. Anyway, I see Fresh Vintage is over here on YouTube. He has moderator permissions, so I don't know if he's interested in moderating, but he can if he wants to. Great channel, by the way. If you are into cars and such, you should check that out. And let's see. Do I have anything else? No, it's actually a kind of a normal week and a normal weekend. I'm like, is this the second weekend in a row I actually am not going anywhere? And I realize right now I forgot to turn on my globe is not on. Let me turn on my globe. And I have other highlight lights up here, but they barely show up. So I'm probably going to replace those with something brighter and then repurpose those for other places around here that could probably use lights. But anyway, we will go ahead and jump on in. We have two different topics. One of them is really short, but it was so good and significant. I had a lot to say about it. But let's go ahead. Actually, before we get into there, if you want to help support the channel, have a look over at the website, switchedtolinux.com/support, and you can see all the ways. I actually had a couple of people reach out for affiliate programs that are companies I trust, so I might update this list sometime soon. I'm going to take some things off of it, I think. Let's see. InMotion Hosting. I'm not sure I trust them these days, so I'm probably going to take them off. Everything else is actually still good. I still use... maybe not NordVPN. I don't know. I'll keep a VPN on there. I'm not sure which. Of course, I only recommend VPNs under very, very limited circumstances, not this nonsense. Everybody else is like, you got to use a VPN to protect you online. VPN does not protect you online. It is a security thing if you're doing a coffee shop run and working at a coffee shop. It does not protect your privacy. Once you log in, you are completely de-anonymized, and companies have not tracked you by your IP address in about a decade. So all these people are like, gotta use a private VPN to... It's nonsense, people. It's nonsense. Think a little, folks. Think a little. They want a login that tracks you. Okay? An IP address doesn't. Anyway, I'm on a soapbox I shouldn't be on. So let me go ahead and get started here. Of course, we will cover comments when we come back from our two topics. Welcome back to the weekly news roundup, and our first topic of the week. They want to destroy the human race. A good friend of mine who has since passed away we always used to talk sometimes a lot, and we'd talk for a while, and he'd always be like, who's they? Who's they? And effectively even asked in the comments, who's they? The elites? In this case, they would be the politicians. I originally was going to do the three-letter agencies, but it extends further beyond those to the politicians, the government, and things like that. Because some things are going on right here that I haven't seen plots this crazy since Phineas and Ferb. Is that Dr. Dubinstein? Is that the guy's name? It's either that or Dr. Death or whatever. I don't know. We're going to see some wild stuff that the three-letter agencies are letting go on, and I have no earthly idea why. But of course, it all starts with what they keep on doing to our automobiles, because people are really, really, really sick of a lot of these modern cars. Fresh Vintage could talk about this. Inside of these cars, we're like, I don't want all these things. I don't want all these buttons. I don't want all this stuff. But the problem is these car manufacturers are doing that because politicians are passing laws dictating it. For example, when I was helping Fresh Vintage out with one of his websites, he had blog posts. I had no idea those little TPMS systems in your tires, those are government mandated. Okay. And what's more curious, those things there, my gain is a little too high. I'm going to turn that down a little bit. I'm peaking and I am trying not to peak. All right. And so Those little TPMS modules, they're the tire pressure indicators, all of them have MAC addresses, and it is a trendy thing. In fact, Signal Trace is one of the things that can trace these things, and so they can tie you and the devices in the car to your tires because of the TPMS in your car. And this is a mandated thing. Was it every car after like 2008 or something had to have them? It is insanity. Absolute insanity. Of course, the latest one, I watched this vote happen just a few months ago. And you know, we're not politically involved. And this is one of the downsides. You know, I get called out, you're just a right-wing guy. Yeah. Because I have to mention politics, we have to mention politics from time to time. Because we're just running around like ostriches with our head in the sand going, oh, it doesn't matter to me. I just hate politics. I'm not going to do nothing with politics. And then you whine and complain about all of the laws that are mandated. So all of these cars are getting all of these technologies because Congress keeps on mandating it. Even the car industry is pushing back at Congress going, dude, you wanted us to have a kill switch. We have no idea how to implement. Like, okay, this is a kill switch. It detects if you're drinking. What if you're the designated driver and you have a car full of drunks? Is the car going to be able to tell if it's you that's been drinking or the passenger that's been drinking? And so to Louis Rossman's amazing point, he says, you know what? If this technology is in my car, I am not going to ever be a designated driver because I don't want to be flagged as an alcoholic by my car because I chose to drive somebody home from the bar. Let them be on their own. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. But part of what these modern cars are doing is they're all embedding these infotainment systems that everybody hates. You know, it's like I was watching some of these car things with these new car videos and people are like, you got to go in and push like 6 buttons to get to your air conditioner. Like how many times you're driving down the road, and I do this all the time. Former van lifer here, still have my van, decided I'm not going to sell it because I might want to jump in the van and take a 2-week road trip next week. Okay. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. You're driving down the road. Temperature could change, slight fluctuations. I need to do the air conditioner. If it's a simple button like in the van or even my old car that I bought, I just push down and I slide a button, push a button, and boom, I have air conditioning. I turn it on. I can turn it off. These new cars, what, you want me to, you tell me I can't text and drive? You got to sit here and on a tablet while I'm speeding down the interstate at 90 miles an hour? What are you talking about? And it's nonsense. So these people like 6 clicks to get to the air conditioning. And sometimes you need to turn it on while you're driving. Sometimes you start driving in the morning and it's not particularly hot and you're still on the road and it's now blistering the temperatures and you're now fiddling around with a tablet in the middle of your car trying to figure out how to turn the air conditioner on so you don't boil to death or something, you know? So, of course, we all have these infotainment systems, and of course we have to put our cars on the internet for the stupidest reason in the history of the universe. Here's a funny thing. If your car is not on the internet, it can't be hacked. But guess what? It just happened. The first known instance of malware being distributed to the Android headless unit on your car. This one's great. Now, the article didn't specifically specify what's going on, but it looks as though the hack in this, the actual origin point hack, happens to be the OWA server. It's OTA server, the over-the-air server. So it basically goes in, and by the way, this article is security affairs. Y'all guys got to do better at security affairs. This article is AI generated, and you can tell because several of the paragraphs are actually repeated. It's kind of interesting. But effectively now, this hack is not really designed to take over your car and, you know, put you into like, you know, it's not going to turn your car into Christine here and start turning this evil, crazy, you know. And so with all of that, what this is actually going to do, it turns your car into a botnet. So yeah, now our cars, because they're perpetually on the internet, so, you know, they can send all of our telemetry data back to the car manufacturer. Now that car is now part of a botnet. So, you know, our car is going to be part of some, you know, hacking situation, whatever else. And the other thing they're using it for, 2 things. turning your car into a botnet and running an ad server, because they can make a lot of money if they're serving you ads. So now you're driving down the road and your hacked infotainment center starts showing you ads for whatever it wants to show you. And I'm just like, oh, Lord. Now, how did this hack happen? The article did not specifically say this, but the way that these systems update themselves, the hack had to be at the central control server. So these cars are always connected to the central control server. The server says, hey, there's an update. And then the car goes out to that server to grab all of the updates. And it just turns out that somebody put a malicious headless Android file in there. So what gets installed through the channel is a dropper called jar service. It should be called car service if these guys were really thinking right. Carries zero user interface and does nothing but decrypting and loading the next stage. So the next stage does a post request back to the API task every 90 minutes, by default containing information about the infected device, the display resolution, the device model, the SSID of the connected Wi-Fi network, the MAC address, and so on, along with the Trojan's configuration version. If the configuration is outdated, it simply updates the malware on your system. Isn't that amazing? The malware even has auto updates now. This is so wonderful. The main goal is not to attack or control the car. Instead, the hackers wanted to infect the car's internet connections as a part of a larger proxy network. This is what we talked about, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, with the televisions having these proxy networks allowing, companies to sell backdoor access to residential IP addresses to spread their malware like that. That's basically what they're doing. So it wasn't bad enough that your television now has all these apps that can turn your TV into a proxy server for all of the hackers. Now your car is the proxy server for all of the hackers as well. Isn't that wonderful? And so the way this happens is through the TW core checks whether an app is already installed on the device. When it installs, not exits equals false. The APK file is downloaded to TW's core external cache directory, push APK for the installation. So effectively, this central command server that tells your car there's an update to install itself has been compromised. And malware is in there. And so the hacker targets this and says, hey, look at this amazing thing. We can hack now 10 million cars worldwide at once through taking over the update server. So yeah, thanks to the government mandating all this nonsense in our modern cars, your car can now be part of the res proxy server and be sold to, attack people through your car. So, isn't that wonderful? All right. And on to Dr. Evil / Dr. Dubenstein's plan here. Dr. Dubenstein, is that the guy's name, by the way? I meant to look it up today. I forgot. I just remember I've watched several episodes of Phineas and Ferb. I just can't remember. Somebody's got to correct me in the comments there pretty quickly here. But Dr. Dubenstein wants to display space mirrors to reflect light into places on the planet. This should have been like SillyVille, but Dr. Dubenstein's going to reflect the orbital giant beams which will shine as 10,000 full moons and scatter light over kilometers. I can't even believe this isn't even SillyVille yet, folks. The space mirrors are coming to illuminate us all. Now, while we were talking about this, in all seriousness, Doofenshmirtz. Okay, Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Okay, that's his name. Got it. Thank you, Silver Adventures. All right, so Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Now, when we were talking about this, of course, one of our supporters is from Norway, and Norway has one of these. Of course, it's not a space mirror, but it is on a mountain, and they can use it to redirect sun into one particular historically relevant place. Of course, Norway is one of those places that has the midnight sun type stuff. And so there's some local applications, but the concern here is launching a mirror with the brightness of 10,000 full moons. Their justification, of course. But come on, man. Come on. What if you need to reflect light back down here because of a natural disaster? Dude, we have these amazing things. They're called lights. They're energy efficient and they're portable. If we can have 1,000,000 people show up in January in the deserts outside of Quartzsite and all peacefully live off grid with their own RVs and their own internet and their own lights and a bunch of other things, I think we can manage some lights and natural disasters. We do not need Dr. Doofenshmirtz to reflect space mirrors with a light of 10,000 full moons down onto the planet. There are serious fundamental problems with doing this. And if you don't think there are, you have never experienced a solar eclipse, which would be kind of the opposite of this. Of course, a solar eclipse happens like once every, several years in any given area, and it lasts a very short period of time. And of course, it is a natural phenomenon. But I got a chance to put myself in the path of totality of 2 eclipses last year because van life, what else am I going to do? All right. One of them was the annular eclipse, of which I was camped right outside of Capitol Reef National Park. And then that following April, I came in here and I went up to Edinburgh, PA, where I used to work on the planetarium up there. And the planetarium director there was doing a big event. And we had I think we had 10,000 people there at the university. And we were out there talking about eclipses. It was on the local news and all that. And when we get down there and it's time for the total solar eclipse, it comes in and it basically looks like dusk out there. Bats start flying around, all sorts of everything seems to be the effect of nighttime, and day and night cycles are part of what God put here for the planet. This Dr. Doofenshmirtz wants to reverse that, be like, look at our technological advantages. We're going to put 10,000 full moons in the night sky and reflect them upon you. Which, by the way, if you look at these in a telescope larger than 12 inches, it will, as my friend says, fry your eyeballs out and burn you dead and kill you dead, okay? And so you gotta be kind of careful about this kind of stuff here. But this guy here, now, why is this they are wanting to destroy us? Because the FCC greenlit this. Our government agencies are like, you want to launch giant space mirrors and put the 10,000 full moons in the sun? All right, why not? I don't know, folks. I don't know. Their test one is going to be 18 by 18 meter mirror in orbit. The goal is to launch 50,000 of these satellites measuring 54 by 54 meters and reflect the sunlight on Earth on demand. Because Dr. Doofenshmirtz is crazy. Okay. They want to prolong hours of sunlight for various uses, including solar panel charging, emergency response, and military activities. Bomb them! Oh, Lord. Come on. Isn't it better to have darkness when you're planning this kind of stuff? I mean, there's a reason we took over that Venezuela dude at night, not in the daytime. You know what I mean? The problem is every single astronomer who's not brain dead has come out and said, yeah, this is a serious problem. There's no way you can do this and preserve dark skies, which is a fundamental problem. And then, of course, the Dr. Doofenshmirtz himself, the CEO of this company, is like, no, we did calculations. It ain't going to be that bad. Combining 400 satellites would reflect orbit eventually plans to do would yield the lightest, brightest 10,000 full moons within a 5-kilometer area or 2.4% as bright as the sun, even up to 80 kilometers away. Him and his colleagues have calculated this combined beam would be visible as a glow above the horizon, he says. That means the night sky would be altered for many more people than those in the reflected area to illuminate. So effectively, the night sky disappears. And if you love the stars in the night sky like I do, this is a serious problem. So a critical point is that our safeguards, including maintenance and exclusion zones and taking into account light scattering. You know that thing called light scattering? Did you account for that? No, Dr. Doofenshmirtz is too dumb for that. He just has a mind to put the space mirrors up there and control the light in the skies. You know. Reflect Orbital's intention to place the satellites into highly inclined orbits above the Earth, almost from pole to pole, will enable them to reflect sunlight in the hours before sunrise and after sunset, extending daylight in certain locations. And eventually, they said it wants to place satellites high enough to provide 24/7 light to certain locations on Earth. Because, it's not bad enough. Like, these people are going to turn me into an environmentalist. This is crazy. So the group of organizations, including Dark Sky International, which I love that organization because they do a lot of things pointing out the problems with light pollution, and there are problems with it. It's a bigger problem in the east because of the humidity in the sky versus in the west where the dryness of the air does not allow the light to be carried as far. But still, you have to concern about, of course, the American Bird Conservatory, because the American birds, these birds, you're going to mess these birds up. You're going to cause serious problems in these birds, and if we can't build some road on a national park road because of a frog or a fish, what do you think it's going to do when, 50 kilometers of birds are screwed up? Yeah. So they are asking the FCC to review its approval. FCC's over going, there's some billionaire that paid us an under the table there, right? Something. Come on, man. We don't care. We got our money. Oh, my Lord. These guys might also turn me into a Democrat. I don't know. FCC does not have authority to license or regulate the operation of the solar reflector itself. It can only authorize the use of radio frequencies to communicate. So, yeah, they're like, yeah, we don't really have any authority. I don't know. If Dr. Doofenshmirtz does this, I am not going to be mad if China or Russia or India or some caveman somewhere launches missiles and blows up the satellites out of the sky. This is what's going on here. Makes me sad that astronomers are having to spend their time doing these sorts of calculations rather than doing astronomy. Yep. Yeah, somewhere in here, there's a comment from the CEO of this company. Oh, yeah, here you go. Reflect Orbital CEO Dr. Doofenshmirtz, a.k.a. Ben Nowak. No comment. Disagrees with the findings of this paper. Like, the CEO of the company disagrees with the findings of the astronomers over space mirrors. He says, some assumptions are simply inaccurate, he says. The critical point is that our safeguards, including maintaining exclusion zones, are taken into account for scattering. Yeah. Okay. Well, if that's not bad enough, of course, we have to accelerate. We have to accelerate our drones, right? And now Amazon is aiming for delivery drones to reach 500 U.S. neighborhoods by the end of 2026. And what's not in the headline is 227, I think is the number, Walmart stores are going to have drones flying in and out of them to deliver same-day orders as well. The problem is these drones are really loud because they're carrying 5-pound packages. They have to be loud. One person who apparently is in their flight path because the drones have to fly back and forth said about 5 or 6 times an hour, what sounds like flying leaf blowers or flying over the house. And then there's the concerns about the cameras in these things. They say, well, the cameras are just for navigation. Yeah, until you work a backdoor deal with a Flock. Let's not forget that this is Amazon who tried to work with Flock already until they got some backlash. How long before they silently we'll just put the Flock cameras on there because we're already flying them anywhere and it's useful data. It's all to keep people safe, folks. Come on. So Amazon wants to grow the Prime Air delivery drone service 6-fold to 500 cities. Each Prime Air delivery drone service area within the area of 175 square miles of delivery time ranging from half an hour to an hour. Oh, Lord. I don't know. I just think we need to start passing laws about, if you own property, can you exclude a drone from flying over your property? Yeah, you fly a drone low across my property back here where I'm at in the middle of nowhere, you may not get your drone back. I'm just telling you. DoorDash is getting in on this as well. So the DoorDash is like, delivery drones, anything we can do to not pay human workers. Sure. Let's go with them. So they're jumping into it, of course. And of course, how does this fit into they want to destroy us? Because the FAA has to approve all of this stuff. The FAA is like, I know we have all these near misses, all sorts of plane issues, all sorts of problems. Our night sky, sky's getting crowded up with all sorts of crazy stuff. Sure, let's just crisscross drones all over the place to deliver our useless consumer crap to us. 5-pound payloads at a time. God. Been community concerns about safety, privacy, especially noise pollution in neighborhoods serviced by drones. None of those issues are likely to go away as the U.S. companies ramp up delivery drone services nationwide with the regulatory approval of the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration. How wonderful. So as far as safety records, so Zipline apparently has the safest of them. They even have backup parachutes, which were actually deployed one time. Amazon Prime has had several safety incidents, oftentimes triggered FAA investigations, and also NTSB investigations as well. They tend to crash into things. This one crashed into a construction crane. Another one took down an overhead internet cable in Waco, Texas. Oh boy. Wing delivery drone is fulfilling Walmart's. I think Wing was Google's. I think Alphabet owns that one. So Google drones coming out of Wally World there. This one crashed and burned on grassy ground in Texas. Texas can be very dry. It'd be very sad if one of these delivery drones causes a forest fire somewhere because, you need to have your 5-pound crap today. Most common complaints about the drones are the persistent noise. Some of them describe hearing drones multiple times a day over their houses. This guy says it's the equivalent of running a leaf blower or a lawnmower 20 feet over the house 50 times a day, he says. The dogs lose their mind and get upset. So there you go. Some Reddit users describing attempts to ask Amazon customer service to reroute drones around their house without any success. Of course, they're just an AI bot. Hey, AI bot, can you route that somewhere else? Nah, it's the quickest route. We need to bring back some drone bounties. All right. Residents from several neighborhoods in Richardson even held a public protest over the noise from Prime Air operations in June. Some people also voiced privacy concerns about having drones constantly fly or hover over their backyards. I was in my backyard sunbathing and I had like 4 drones go over my house. So I felt super creeped out and ended up going inside, says this person here. Amazon described its delivery drones as only using onboard cameras and sensors for navigation, obstacle detection, and dropping off packages without tracking individuals or recording people's movements. I mean, come on. That's what the flock attachments will do later. So, the government is empowering all this kind of stuff from forced legislation, which is utterly nonsensical, to the 3-letter agencies are going, you want to launch a bunch of space mirrors up there that's going to fundamentally change the ecosystem of America or the whole world? Sure, why not? He'll get up there and as a prank, he's going to shine giant spotlights on Putin's doorstep or something, and that'll be the end of that. Mutually assured destruction. He's like, I'm out. The world's over. Hit the nukes. We're done. And in this world, I might kind of welcome it. Let me know if you welcome it too in the comments down below. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah, we're excited tonight. All right. Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. Here we have our second topic for the week. We're going to talk about privacy policies are no guarantee. And this is an interesting thing because I think in a lot of these situations, these companies selling us businesses, we'll speak broadly and then we'll get into our topic. Companies selling these products are more like marketing machines than anything else. They're not the actual coders in the back. The days of Steve Jobs figuring out how to build an Apple computer in the garage garage, or Google starting in the little garage and figuring out how to do it. Those days are over. A lot of companies now, they're just basically run by a bunch of private equity guys, guys who are professional CEOs. They just jump from train wreck to train wreck to train wreck, collecting golden parachutes as they go, which is a fundamental problem. If you cause a company to crash and burn, I think if anybody has to lose their job in the course of your CEO-ship, yeah, you should just lose your golden parachute. Sorry. Yeah, I know that's a high bar to meet. Yep. If you're really good, you'll figure it out. You know what I mean? But the problem is that some company gets a good idea. In fact, we were talking about this, is Elon Musk really this Tony Stark figure sitting down in his garage building an Iron Man suit with the help of AI Jarvis? No, he's just a good businessman who can sell ideas. And then he hires the engineers to actually build his ideas. So he's got ideas, but he's not some amazing tech genius. He's, Tony Stark is a made up character. I'm not sure there's anybody much like him these days. But certainly no one with any form of moral root, if you even suggest he had a moral root or not. But the point here is that these companies just have great ideas. They bring on engineers to make it happen. They're taking usually the lowest bid. They want to see the fundamental work. And I work with enough people and enough, heads of companies to know most of them. In fact, I'm not sure I know of any of them that really care about the details. They say, make it work. That's all they care about. Make it work. Make it work, deploy it, sell it. That's their goal. And the problem is that the people developing the things that they're selling us, they don't really care. Sometimes they're just there to insert malware. Sometimes they're just there to make a quick buck, and, security and things like that are not high. Sometimes they just don't know what they're doing, and they're just like the people that I see all the time, like, yeah, I build WordPress. Like everybody says they build WordPress. Like 1% of those people can build WordPress right. Okay. It's kind of funny because I see it all the time. I end up, people have some site built by somebody else and there's serious problems. Then they'll get a hold of me and they're like, oh, what's going on? Most likely, without looking at it, the guy who built your website's an idiot. I log into their site. I look at the back. Yep, the guy's an idiot. I can rebuild it for you. It's going to be a lot of money. All right, that's fine. And so that's kind of the challenge, is that these people don't know what they're doing. There's like, oh, we need, just stick with the WordPress example. I need a custom field over here. Advanced custom fields. You can go into the WordPress core and you can go to the little screen options thing at the top. You can pull it down and there's a custom field thing. You can enable it. And then you can go down and you can build a custom field and then you can put it in there. And then you can go to your functions file and you can program the custom field to do something. And then you don't need a plugin for this. It's all in the core. Yet ACF has been hacked 15 bajillion times because everybody and their brother throws it into a WordPress website, even though most of them don't even need it. And that's the same thing that happens with all these applications. People make these applications to sell, and they just throw in these libraries, and they have no idea what these libraries are doing. What are these libraries doing? Well, it's providing this feature and adding 16 different advertising networks in the background that you don't know is there. The person selling the product doesn't know it's there. And then let's get on to these privacy policies. You do realize if you're building something and now certain whatever laws mandate you have a privacy policy, you're like, oh, I'm not sitting down and writing a privacy policy, nor am I hiring a lawyer for $1,000 to write a privacy policy. So you go to a website, you enter in a few different things like the name of your business and a couple things, and it will auto-generate a privacy policy, which is why almost every single privacy policy reads almost exactly the same way. Because they're all just shared among the internet. There's no real cohesion to it. And so you get this privacy policy, you say, oh, this is what we're doing. And you don't really know any difference because you have no earthly idea how the thing's working behind the scenes. So enter, I didn't get to the other article. Enter a research study out of Brigham Young University out there in Provo, Utah. Amazing city, by the way. Campus is really nice too, in fact. But if you have not gone out to Provo, Timpedos Cave is out there in Provo. Beautiful, beautiful bike paths out there. I used to bike out there a lot when I lived in that general area. I'd take drives out to Provo because how beautiful it is. But anyway, they wanted to do a research study through the state of Utah, and they wanted to look at all of these EdTech applications, and they wanted to compare what they were actually doing with what their privacy policies said. And well, wouldn't you know it, that over half of the companies were selling and sharing student data, even though their privacy policy said we would never do that. Yeah, here's the other article, which is actually, this is from, I don't know, some private equity firm. Like all these private equity firms, I have no earthly idea what these people are doing. I don't know if they're researchers or if they're telling things, but they had a decent blog post here about reliability, durability, and trust are the new competitive edge in EdTech. Yeah, if only reliability, durability, and trust were the core. No, it typically happens to be who is the highest bidder or who can you convince the best. I'm going to go off on another tangent again, because as you may know, after I left the university, I worked with a startup in an EdTech company. And we were one of the early ones doing online homework systems. And our system was developed by a former professor at, I think it was Texas A&M. And so he developed the system to help with his stuff, and he was a chemist like myself. And he's like, well, I didn't like the way that was it Master in Chemistry was doing, which was out of Pearson, because, and I used that myself when it was brand new just to see how it worked. And the problem with a lot of those online homework systems is they are simply right answer, wrong answer. And if you know anything about chemistry particularly, it is a very process heavy system. So what the final answer is doesn't necessarily tell you if you've learned the process to find the answer. And that's what he wanted to correct. So he developed an EdTech platform, which was a lot more focused on the process rather than the actual answer. Was it absolutely amazing? Could solve all the problems? No, but it was better than the other alternatives at the time. So he launched the company as a professor, used it with his students, and then ended up finding some marketing guys to help with it. And he ended up leaving his professor job to run this company, which grew 300% for 3 consecutive years before it was purchased by Macmillan. And then, of course, Macmillan laid off all of us people who were actually making money there and brought in a bunch of flunkies at minimum wage. And I have no idea what happened to the EdTech company from there. But it grew really well and really fast at that time. The challenge is my role, which was just to go and present the software to the professors and answer questions about the scientific end of it. He basically hired people, and my role were all people with PhDs and teaching experience, because we would have that one-on-one connection with the professors. The first problem is we could see everybody, all students. We had access to the entire student grading system, including K through 12 kids schools, and FERPA was a law in effect at the time. So technically it was a violation of FERPA. There's no reason I, who worked specifically in the college level, could see actual student grades, including their social security numbers and whatever else in the platform, when my only role for the company is to go in there and just present the front end user facing thing to the professor. But what I'm getting at here is the reason these EdTech companies are such a good market for these private equity firms is because they are targeting, it's basically a captive sale. So I could go in as a professor and I don't have to sell your 30 students that this software is required. I just have to sell the professor. If the professor says, yep, this is required, we make sure it's required. And guess what? If the professor has 30 students, we just made 30 individual sales for the cost of one person. So if we have these big ones like Penn State's chemistry class, when I was at Penn State, the chemistry class there, we had 2,000 students a semester going through Gen Chem. We went in there and won over the chemistry department there. We made 2,000 sales in the semester. All we had to do was present it to the professor. And that's the way these things work. These EdTech companies come in and they just present themselves as the amazing magic bullet to all of the school, and the school's just like, I'm sure it's going to solve the problems we have, and we don't have time to think about it, and they're too busy anyway. So unless they get some really ick about you or see some huge obvious red flag, they'll just pretty much work with the first guy they come into, unless of course they have a friend in the industry or something. And then they've just basically sold the product to everybody. And now the entire purpose is to get all of the students into there. Why? Well, because somebody somewhere wants that data. It may or may not be the person running the company. So this blog post here is talking a lot about why trust has to be the core of this, and why, all these things are. So this is very idealistic, which basically says that, this is what people are looking for. And it's all about trust. It's not about trust at all. It's about solving that problem of meeting all of those statistical things that, guess what, they have implemented, and the school system have no earthly idea how to possibly do it. This company comes and says, hey, we can solve that for you. The school system's like, yeah, whatever. All right, we'll go with it. And so what the Brigham Young did is 2-year investigation into the EdTech applications used by Utah schools found many were collecting and sharing student data in ways appeared inconsistent with their privacy policies. Isn't that amazing? You mean that an EdTech company that didn't even build the software that wants all of my kids' information in there is collecting their data and using it? Now, they're really careful, like, but this thing does not display ads. That's not the point. They're collecting the data to know how to better psychologically target the kid when an ad gets through on some platform somewhere. That's the point. It's about collecting their data for future use. It's not about, ooh, we have it. Like, we become so simple-minded. Like, ooh, is this thing pushing an ad? Well, if it's pushing an ad, it's bad. No. Yeah, pushing ads is bad. But collecting the data that gets fed into the ad networks that push the ads, that's the real danger, and that's going on behind the scenes. And this is what most of these companies had no earthly idea what was going on. So they examined the network traffic from 100 EdTech apps between 2023 and 2025. Rather than relying on only privacy policy or vendor assurances, researchers looked at what the apps were actually transmitted while in use. Of the 85 apps tested with relevant data agreements, that means like 15% of, or 15 apps didn't even have privacy agreements. 52% of them reportedly collected at least one student data element that was not permitted under the agreement. Over half. So, by contractual promises are not always reflected in how the app behaves. An app can include third-party analytics, software, advertising-related services, and other embedded components that sends information elsewhere without the school or district having a clear view of those transfers. Because the school or district doesn't know and doesn't really care. So the state's response to extended beyond publishing the findings. Vendors with potential issues were asked to explain them or remedy them. Companies that addressed concerns could have their identities redacted in the public report. So, hey, we found you're doing stuff you're not supposed to be doing. But if you correct stuff, we won't name drop you in our article. So companies that address concerns can have them redacted, an approach designed to encourage corrective action while holding the vendors that failed to respond to account. So the law requires educational entities to include specified student data protections and vendor contracts, notify vendors of unauthorized use of student data, and terminate contracts when a vendor does not remedy the privacy violation as being notified. So this is an interesting article where even reading the privacy policy, you have no guarantee what they're doing because they may not know what they're doing. It's the same thing. And I am going to set up a test bench to research some of this stuff because it's interests me. When I was back in January, I was helping at the Van Life conference down there. And one of the guys came in and he has this brand new app for van dwellers, right? You can just use this app and then you can click the button and it just sends a blast notification out to everyone who cares about you that you've clicked the button. And of course, it has to verify who you are with biometrics, so face scan or a fingerprint scan to prove it's actually you, despite no, it doesn't necessarily prove it's actually you. But that's kind of what they say. And he's basically, hey, you have a 30-day free trial of this. Oh, you should try this. He tried to sell me. We had some conversations. I would love to try his free trial out because I want to see what the app is actually doing. I have a sneaky suspicion that the app is simply put together. He had this grand idea. He went up to like Upchuck or something, that's Upwork. And he's like, hey, I need an app that does this. And some Indian developer's like, I will do this job for you. And then he works the thing in and he's got no idea what the thing's doing. And he's got a prize. Yeah, we're not collecting anything. Yeah, because he doesn't even know. He didn't explicitly build anything in there that does it. Yet I have a sneaky suspicion, and I don't know this for sure. That's why I'm not going to name the app or anything. I have a sneaky suspicion if I installed that on a test bench and looked at the network traffic of the app, I have a sneaky suspicion there's going to be a lot of data trackers in that app. Think of this thing. This thing's got GPS capabilities. It's got biometric authentication. It's got access to your phone. It has access to your contacts. all stuff that all of these companies want to know about you. Yeah, he might, oh, yeah, we don't collect any of the data. Well, just because you're not the one going in there and harvesting stuff out of Google Analytics doesn't mean somebody isn't. And those are the things we have to keep in mind when we're looking at stuff like this, that these privacy policies, these are not like, it's like all these companies work with third parties, you know, our third parties have the greatest security. They have spit, shake, and punky swore with us. We even had a dinner. They don't care. They're doing the same thing you're doing. They're outsourcing it to somebody else. And it leaks. And there's a problem. And data is being harvested. And data is being analyzed. And nobody is the wiser because you have allowed some nonsense application into your life. And that is what we need to stop doing. Let me know your thoughts about all that in the comments down below. All right, let's check in on our comments down below. We got 15 watching on Rumble. Dan's over there. Hello, Dan. Hope you're feeling better. What's wrong with in-motion hosting? There have been, the first is I know people have used my links and I have never seen a royalty from them. I suspect they are also in Honey, and about the same time I started seeing drastic revenue drops in my when I started seeing drastic revenue drops, it was about the time Honey was coming on board. So it's possible that Honey stole my commission affiliates. But at the same time, I've had people say, I used your link, got set up, and I've never seen or heard anything from InMotion Hosting. They also, though, have had a serious degradation of service compared to some of the other servers that I've used. SiteGround is kind of in the same way. They're pushing a bunch of AI stuff. In fact, they're auto-installing AI plugins onto WordPress sites on SiteGround right now. In fact, I just deployed a new site for a client over on SiteGround this last week, and I need to go in there and do a couple things. I'm going to see if they have added that AI nonsense to the website we built for them or not. And SiteGround is just excessively expensive for what they do as well. Although maybe, I don't know, maybe they're just keeping up with all those licenses, but I don't know if they're using cPanel anymore either, because that just got too expensive. Politicians are controlled by the Mossad through the blackmail operations and worse, such as Epstein Island. No power at all. Yeah. Then Yahoo is allowed to address Congress without president's foreknowledge or consent. It's absurd. No, I didn't hear about that one. And greetings from England. Hello, Andy man. I hope you'll have a spotty. No longer drive with health, but it would be a Mustang or Camaro with an 8-track. There you go. William Hackman, you heard that California's AB 2624 privacy for immigration support service providers known as the Stop Nick Shirley Act got signed into law. I did see that, and I have a sneaky suspicion it is not going to pass constitutional. You're not allowed to come in here and do independent journalism. We don't care what the First Amendment says. Yeah, I don't think California is going to survive that litigation, but it's going to take somebody to sue for it. But I did see that. I haven't looked into all of the details about what the act is, although I vaguely know it's to stop independent journalists like Nick Shirley from actually exposing corruption, which is like, you would kind of think you want them to expose the corruption unless you're actually the ones doing the corrupt things. Just a thought. Drive a Gremlin over there. Today's high-tech junk. Yep. Exposure is for, it wasn't just Nick Shirley's also one that discovered the Leering Center, the Quality Leering Center over in Minnesota. So he went to California to hunt out things after visiting in numerous other states. But yeah, absolutely. The lawmakers did not like the fact that he literally found billions of dollars of stolen money. Like, you'd think you'd stop the fraudsters, not the guy exposing it, but California's backwards. So what can you say? Just ordered crystal wine glasses. There you go. As long as they're not being delivered and dropped by a drone. Mayflower Project, hello to you. We got a lot of activity over there on Rumble today. Thank you, guys. Of course, we do have Rumble rants are enabled over there. If you want to support the channel over there, you can. It's also the join button goes right over to our locals page on Rumble. Just found out that the New York's bill on age attestation on device levels just died for now. Oh, it'll probably be talked about again next year. Yeah. Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, died at 85. Oh, man. I saw a rip Peter Cullen. I was like, who was Peter Cullen again? Voice of Optimus Prime? No, not Optimus Prime. Prime, you can't die. Oh, that's sad. We lost a lot this week, didn't we? Sergeant Slaughter's birthday. All right. Osmond Brothers went to Brigham Young as a Brit. I have no idea why I know that. You know. 4 currently watching over there on Odyssey. Ela Squirrel's over there alone today. Between Irvine and Keller, there's a residential area called Timberland Estates. Every entrance has flock cameras. How wonderful. Have you ever had weather so bad you pulled over to wait it out? We did. We had a van full of people. We were going on a road trip about a decade ago. We were heading a road trip out west, and we're going through, I want to say it was Kansas. Weather got super bad. There was a tornado on the ground, not too far from us. But yeah, us and about 50 other cars stopped at a tiny little gas station in the middle of Nowheresville. I want to say that was, I think that was Kansas. It was would have been East Kansas. Fire, there's one that knocked out internet on this Tuesday. On Android, if you need a weather app, try Atmos Weather. It's on F-Droid's location services are optional. Okay, I'll look into that. And we got 39 watching on the Tubies. Tubies or not Tubies? That is the question. Let's see. Got fresh vintage over here. Let's stop the elites, globalists, big tech, and big pharma before it's too late. Yeah, I mean, it's not all that hard to do. You just got to opt out of the nonsense. And I was thinking the other day, I've opted out of most of the nonsense. You know, I've got these streaming services. I don't use my phone for pretty much anything. I'm all free software, things like that. So, Xcudi Studios, greetings. Night of Light, hello to you. Need some AI affiliates? Nope. Climate warning is a hoax created by a commie to force commie, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I am generally in agreement with you, but you have to agree that that launching space mirrors is certainly a problem. If you want to talk about real climate change, that will cause it. Okay. Get myself banned. Want Tom to lose his mind over the AI affiliates? Yeah, you know, Dr. Duven Smirts. Modern cars. It's the clankers. The clankers are coming. Mass surveillance in vehicles. Yep. 50 minutes of power UPS as the power and cell services cut. Did you hear Trump pass an executive order to rename Lake Ontario to Lake America? I don't know. I'm less on board with that than I am naming the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. I'm more on board with that one because technically Mexico is a country in the greater Americas, which contains North, Central, and South America, which the Gulf of Mexico touches all three. So the Gulf of America does make more sense. But a lake that is half in entirely Ontario and the other part is that touches, if I remember my geography, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. Do I have that right? Without looking at a map. Nah, I'm not as on board with that one. So Fast and Furious hacking cars seen even possible in real life. Yeah, well, you know, it could be. It could be. Yeah, there was actually it was one of the Fast and Furious movies. But you know, there was Fresh Vintage. I were talking the other day. He said, or texting the other day, and he said that there was the time when under short range, Even this was like 5 years ago, you could take over, I think it was Jeep Wranglers. I think you could take them over and run them like an RC car. Dr. Doofenshmirtz. All right. Too bad you cannot put the car manufacturer computer into an emulator detached on the car, making them think it's a connected car. That would be fun. Solar mirrors might wake up the vampires in Norway. There's no vampires in Norway. They're in Romania. Get it right. Mirror might look like a James Bond movie script. Do you miss van life yet? There are large portions of van life that I miss, and there's large portions that I don't. It is definitely an exercise in opportunity cost. Van life is amazing. I can go all over the place. If it gets super hot or super cold, I can jump in there, go somewhere else. I can disappear for several weeks at a time if I want to and be perfectly fine. Now, the thing is, with my current setup where I have the van in the house, I can actually still do that. But let me tell you the advantage of living in, having my own place here. I have my exercise gym set back up. So I'm in the weight room every other day and I'm running every other day. Now, that is one of the challenges. I don't have really good running trails where we're at around here. So it's 30 minutes to the nearest running trail. So I got to run on the side of a backcountry road, which is a little bit dangerous. So I generally, what I'm doing is I'm doing my runs on the days I run errands. But I can get more exercise. Also, a lot better food prep. You can prepare a lot more. The other day I was in the grocery store and they had bacon on sale for $1.99 a package. So I was able to buy a bunch of them because I got space to put them. I have a freezer. In fact, I have a deep freezer now as well. So I've been slowly working on building up in the deep freezer so I can, food is a lot cheaper and I can eat a little bit better because I can get bigger quantities. I can freeze stuff down. I can buy, a month's worth of chicken much cheaper than I could buy a week's worth of chicken before. So there are a lot of benefits to having a place of your own if you actually are living a conscious life like I do. I also like the fact my internet in the office, I can upload a video in a hot 5 minutes or less. Used to take 20, 30 minutes in the van with the slower van internet, and having ready access to 4 whole computers, I guess 3 computers, 4 monitors, means I can jump from task to task a lot quicker. I don't have to shut down my web development desk to do my video production desk. I have 2 separate desks for that, so I can just hop from place to place. I also have a separate Bible study area now, so that's going up there. And I'm going to stop on that for a brief moment. I have been toying with, and I decide I'm going to run a Bible study that will be accessible from the internet. I am not going to record it or at least I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to send out a questionnaire. I might record it to release as a podcast form. It's not specifically going to be for video content, but I've had a number of people that have emailed me and just can't find a lot of good studying. And I'm like, you know what? I got lots of teaching. I got the opportunity. I got the internet connection. I got the power. I'm going to do it. So stay tuned to, I might put something else on this channel, but I'll try and keep it a minimum because this channel is not really targeted to the Christian audience. I will have it on my other channel, and I will email some people that have emails too. We're going to do it online, either over Jitsi or over Matrix or over a combination of both. And I want to do that, but yeah, I have separate areas for all that kind of stuff. I have ready access to my whole library now again, which I didn't have, in the van. I didn't have access to my whole book library, which I do now. So it is an opportunity cost. Van life is awesome. So is actually living consciously in an office that is designed for your work and your lifestyle. So yeah, that was a 5-minute answer to one question. Hopefully it was fun. Let's see. How is that even legal? Yeah, well, I don't know. Legal from America's side. Oh, come on, man. We're America. Of course we could do it. Time to Google Lake of America. If you're going to do like a Lake of America, the only one that would be good qualified is Lake Michigan, because that one's wholly in America. Mere nonsense will go away because the book of Revelation, it's the sun will stop giving its light. That is just true. He's going to get it up there right when the sun goes away. Oh, darn. Oh, even more space debris. Lake America. Guess we solved all the other problems in the U.S. We're down to renaming lakes now. Yeah. Come on, man. There's no problems left. There was, by the way, an awesome TruthStream Media video out today from the channel TruthStream Media. You should check it out. It was, I think it was called "We Are Not Meant to Live This Way." It talks about a lot of the people. It was kind of neat because I was able to interface. I of course lived in the van willingly. I was able to interface and talk to a lot of people who were forced to live in vehicles. It is a fabulous show. Check it out after our show here. Today's over. TruthStream Media is the channel. And there was their latest video, which I believe is called "We Were Not Meant to Live This Way." Okay. He said, we investigated ourselves and found nothing wrong. Ben Nowak, yeah. It'd be great if it was Dr. Doofensmertz because all his plans fail. Yeah. As long as those drones fall on people or are shot down by angry farmers and owners. Yeah. I wonder if solar flare hits the earth, the drones start falling from the sky. No, it's raining drones. Hey, if you are new to the channel, welcome. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much. Did you hear about the $10 million donation March you got? Yeah. I actually did a video on that this week. When we did our Omarchy video, we talked a little bit about that. It was 8 when I recorded the video. It's up to 10 now. Do you believe big tech World War III fight? Wait, what? I have no idea what that comment said. So he wants Canada for national security. He wants to make a powerhouse. That's why he wants Greenland. Yep. Okay. About to lose the internet. Power still out. 1 to 6 hours. Oh, no. Good luck. Good luck, WR250A. And may peace find you without the internet. We will pray for you, our brother. Okay. At least around here in this is funny. I'm recording my main streaming computer here. If we have a sudden power outage, you guys wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I'm actually running everything in this is being run on batteries right now. I have the giant Jackery down here by the computer, and even my internet is on a switch. Actually, no, it's not. My switch is not powered by the UBS. UBS? Yeah, is that you? The battery system. My switch is not powered by the battery system. I should see if I can do that. Or is it? No, it's not. My switch is not being powered by battery. I might have to rectify that. Let's see. So you would know. My switch would give out, but everything else would keep working. Okay. How long until they use AI to write privacy policies? AI is probably already writing privacy policies. They're just copying every other privacy policy on the internet, which is why every one of them is all like, we may. We want to tell me what you're doing, not what you may do. Because it's not a privacy policy. It's just an informed consent policy. You believe in the devil. If you do not believe in Jesus, you believe in the devil. Every time you reject Jesus, you're worshiping the devil. I have for 5 minutes to cook dinner. All right. Have fun with that. Prepare for the crash. Looking like it's in the plan. Might soon go away. Mostly the same consequences or worse. Yeah. Yeah, Linux is technically a kernel. GNU Linux is the operating system. All right. Can refer to the kernel or a distro. Yep. So here's a question. What is the lava lamp looking thing to the left of Bill Gates behind Tom? That is a jellyfish lamp. Yeah, they sell them at Walmart. They're like $10, $15. It's like it's a little lamp with a rotating LED light, a little blower motor, and 2 jellyfish. I'm in the van down by the river. Okay. The open source, you can do whatever you want. Let's see. Joel Reed's Bible is a good Bible channel. Okay. Do you bake bread? I baked bread yesterday and I ate it all, and it was not good for the figure. All right. Has worked for Panera Bread for 6 years. All right. There you go. Respect bakers. Yep. Recently set up self-hosted phone systems so family can communicate without cloud. Works over Starlink or Wi-Fi. Ooh, I might need some details on that. I kind of want to do that. There's some of the things I want to do around here. I do want to see if I can set up my own VoIP system on the local network. That would be fun. Father worked at McDonald's Bun Bakery for me. All right. UPS. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, Ivan went to a dinner party. All right, let's see. It'll always be Lake of Ontario and Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, I mean, I had a map when I was a kid that said USSR instead of Russia, but I'm pretty much on board with Russia these days. It took 30 years, but you know. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump on back into Z News. Welcome back to the weekly news roundup in the QuickLines edition. We have a bunch of fun stuff here today, including 2 updates until we get into our main story here. What is our main story? Oh yes, Meta has a settlement, and it's kind of creepy. Let's go ahead and chat about these guys, shall we? First is an update from Apple. We did cover the article that if you're using the private email feature from Apple, they were going to change that to have them all be private at iCloud.com, which would basically was a really stupid idea, because then everybody that didn't want to have a disposable email could just filter out that one domain URL. So apparently somebody turned on a brain cell over there at Apple and decided that was a really dumb thing. According to the article here, the Apple employees never liked that. It was something that came down from the higher levels, because like, again, they just have no earthly idea how technology works. It's like, hey, we might run all these iCloud addresses. Why don't you go ahead and just make those all private.icloud.com? We can deal with that. All the Apple employees like, no, that's a really dumb idea. It kind of undermines what we're trying to do here. We don't care. I'm the CEO. Do it. You know. And so, yeah, whatever that happens to be the case. They are reversing that, and I do have to call out TechCrunch here for their apparently racist behavior, because they use this word here. And if you looked at what the origin of that word is, TechCrunch, of course it's reneged, and it does have connotations from the South a century ago. And anyway, but who cares? I laugh about stuff like that. I don't care. Hey man, I read Huck Finn just because of the content. And Uncle Tom's Cabin was awesome. All right. But they have went back on this. They are not going to force you on private.icloud.com. They are going to keep it going how it was, because the rationality has overcome. So that is good news. This is bad news. The first Motorola phone that can support Graphene phone, the Graphene OS is going to be launching, and I love my Graphene OS, but you know what? This is a fundamental problem of what's wrong here. What's wrong with Linux. The only phone that Motorola is going to have that supports Graphene OS is their flagship model. It's going to be over $1,000. We need to stop with this nonsense of having the privately. You have to pay over $1,000 for a phone that respects your privacy. I want to swear right now, but I'm not going to because this is still a family-friendly channel. I'm sorry. I would highly recommend, as much as I love Graphene OS, boycott this. Don't buy a Motorola Graphene phone. Don't review it. Just say no. No. As much as I want Graphene, no. I'm not paying over $1,000, $1,500 for a phone because the only phone you can make work with this is the flagship for this much money. No. No. You are undermining your purpose. You're undermining your purpose. I will remind you, my first Graphene phone was a Pixel 5a that I picked up at a pawn shop for I think it was $120 or $130. My current Graphene OS phone is a Pixel 7a, which is still supported for several years now. It'll be supported at least 2 or 3 more years. And I paid $180 for that. We cannot keep on going if the only privacy level stuff we have is costing this much money. Now, they're not getting rid of the Pixel line. And the technical reason for this is that the chipset that they need, they only put into their more expensive phones because it does cost them a little bit more. But your Graphene OS phones are still going to have several years of support. I would highly recommend resisting this Motorola phone because they're coming out like, hey, we're going to be working with another phone line. Here's your $1,500 phone, you pleb, that you can't even afford it right now. May as well Klarna that thing and never own it so that you can be 20, 30 and not even own your phone anymore. This is utter nonsense. As much as I like and promote Graphene OS, this is a bad deal. This is stupid. No. Resist it, folks. Resist it. Only flagship running it? Screw you. Well, that was cheery. All right. I love Graphene OS too. Man, I don't even want to run Lineage most of the time anymore. Graphene is so good. Here, Meta agrees to sweeping changes to restrict kids' access to apps as part of its settlement with states. Oh, isn't this wonderful? They're agreeing to age verification. Oh, and by the way, this $18 billion, $5 billion of it only comes in. Like, think about this. Think of how corrupt the courts are for this. Facebook has reached an $18 billion settlement. $5 billion of that settlement is contingent on YouTube and TikTok implementing what Facebook just did. I'm sorry, criminal. You don't get to make demands. No. You know what? Let's turn around and let's be like, you know what? I think we're going to make this $50 billion now. Oh, you don't have $50 billion? I guess you're going to have to be closed down and you can move into a car out in the desert in California like all those other people that you've priced out of the market, Schmuckerberg. Yeah. So what they did here is they want to make some fundamental changes. They basically put in a limited night mode. Now, this can be disabled by the parent who is in control of the account. But the basic default is between midnight and 6 a.m. You cannot use any Meta app. Maybe you can do WhatsApp because it's basically like communication type stuff. I didn't see WhatsApp in here, but like Instagram, Facebook, and other basic Meta things. They also are limiting minors can only have 2 hours of screen time without parental permission. And after that, all Meta properties are locked on the phone. They will prioritize a non-algorithmic feed, which I think should be the only thing anybody ever sees. I think algorithms themselves inside of the social media feeds should be banned. So there's that, or at least opt-in only. They will receive prompts every 15 minutes after continuous use on Facebook or Instagram. New prompts will accompany the current prompts, and teens will see when their total daily usage hits 60 minutes. They will also turn off notifications between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. Because during school hours, they don't want kids to be getting notifications outside of important things like account security or safety situations. Meta says it's strengthening the technology for identifying users who may be aged 13 to 17, even if they provide an adult birth date. So all this means that all of this is all contingent on Facebook knowing that you're a minor. and they're ramping up their checks to make sure everyone's a minor. How long before people, it's just too difficult. We're just all going to be minors. You got to prove who you are. You got to prove that you're not a minor. Otherwise, you're in the minor account. You can only use this for 2 hours a day. Now, maybe that'll actually cause society to a good thing. Like I remember the very first time Facebook ever had a network outage. I was reading it in the local paper. It was hilarious because, or maybe it was an internet article. I can't remember. But it was when Facebook had its first ever network outage. It was, I was out west at that time. So I want to say it was like 2012 maybe. I'm sitting in the coffee shop reading this, and it says, in other news, Facebook experienced its first ever DNS outage. The site couldn't be down. Millions of people mourned the loss of many crops and dead fish in their fish tanks on Facebook. And in other news, the economy just shot into massive production. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe there's something to this. Maybe we all should have these kid accounts. But what's behind this is that they have to clearly identify who is a minor, even if they've attested to be something else, which means a lot more people are going to have to prove that they're actually not minors to keep using their accounts. Isn't that wonderful, folks? Isn't that wonderful? And of course, that other $5 billion, as we said, is contingent on YouTube and TikTok also doing this. Yeah. Meta's $18 billion settlement will be distributed to the states over 10 years, but 30% of the settlement, or about $5.3 billion, will only be paid if YouTube and TikTok implement the same limits. No, you do not get to determine things. You're the ones who put kids at harm. I think they should. No, I think we want 50 billion, and we want 50 billion now. You don't have 50 billion. I guess you're going to have to close your company down. That would be even better for the teenagers, wouldn't it? But they couldn't make a whole lot of money through their stuff. Anyway, moving on to the next one. Jefferson Parish deputy fired for misusing flock camera to track his ex-fiance's vehicle 32,000 times. I have questions. First question is, why didn't somebody notice that one police officer was looking at the same vehicle 3,200 times? 3,200. I think I said 3,200 or 32,000. All right. Now, according to the investigation, the ex-fiance is aware he's doing it and was happy, and he was doing it to make sure she got home. That's what she said. That's what he said. As somebody who's known several battered women over my lifetime, though, if she really was that friendly with this guy, I bet they wouldn't be exes, would they? I bet she's lying for retaliation. Would you like to press charges? Oh, no. You can take a woman that's been bloodied and beaten raw by her man. She will not press charges. It's a fundamental problem. We need to. And if you have in your sphere of influence a woman who is the victim of domestic violence, do not let them not press charges. Press charges. I have been the victim of domestic violence. And I wish to hell somebody had the gonads to tell me when I was 19 and that happened to press charges. It would have been a really good thing. The guy threatened me with a gun. My mother's boyfriend or husband at the time. And if I had pressed charges, he would have lost his privilege to own guns, and he may not have shot himself a number of years later. Just a thought. If you know somebody experiences domestic violence, do not let them not press charges. It is absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. All right. And so I'm wondering, this guy's checking her license plate 3,200 times. Now, first, the police department, it takes 3,200 times to be caught. And then we talk to the lady. Oh, no, I'm aware he's doing it. Oh, God. Oh, God. He says, I know he's doing it. I'm okay with that. I bet you are, lady. Because he always knows where you are. Oh boy. There's a lot of questions in here. Of course, the official story is they were both aware of it. She doesn't have a problem with it. And it was just because he cared for her and they remained friendly after they decided not to get married. I don't know. I got I got a lot of questions on this one. All right. Reverse lookup service exposed millions of photos of people's faces. The people search tool Clarity Check says it reverse image search is private and secure, but that left a database containing 9 million images on files exposed. How is this? It was an S3 colander, of course. 450 gigabytes of images, including what appear to be profile images, screenshots, and photographs of adults, teenagers, and children leaked out inside of this. Now they're like, well, they have a box on there. You must have permission to upload this photo. Check the box. I agree. I have a sneaky suspicion. This is to upload a photo and have the system find information about that person. I have a sneaky suspicion if you know the person, you probably don't need to upload the thing. Just a thought. I mean, maybe you're trying to scrape the whole of the internet and see, but this company basically is, scraping a bunch of data. So it has a whole bunch of data on people that didn't consent to it and don't even know this company exists. But I bet you're in there, folks. The website says it can run searches on phone numbers, email addresses, vehicle identification numbers, and names. Its photo search page says it can help identify anyone in a photo and find social media profiles in seconds. They seemingly exposed for months, and his initial effort to flag the problem to the company were unsuccessful. It took the media to reach out. Yeah. Maybe this is why that we were talking about that Nick Shirley act in the comments section. We got to shut down the media. They're inconvenient to our crimes. Okay. People's faces were exposed will have no idea that Clarity Check held their image. After all, he notes the service is explicitly designed for identification, and people don't typically seek to identify themselves or people they know. An AI bot could crawl it, extract faces, and use them for training, and there are lots of pictures of kids in there. Company disputed any characterization that the data was exposed, saying that an ordinary member of the public would not have come across it. Unfortunately, the federal government defines what exposed means, and specifically exposed if it could be accessed by people who are not intended to have access, particularly if it's reachable on the open internet without being protected by an authentication requirement. So yes, I don't care what your flapping gums have to say. It's exposed. All right. The data involved includes duplicate, cropped, and resized photos, not 9 million unique images, they say, but, yeah, there's only 9 photos. We just cropped it 1 million times each. Yeah, sure you did. In addition to the face data, they also had a misconfiguration of its API. That website URLs could be manipulated to reveal data about people simply by entering names. Anyone using any consumer browser could have done this. Because, hey, it was put together by those third parties we talked about in another section this week, and they don't really care. They have what appears to be a functioning service on the front end. They can now market it, sell it, and make a whole lot of money. So, yeah, that's exciting. AliExpress is using audio to fingerprint you. This is neat. This is a fascinating one because they're not actually using the microphones. What they're doing is they're turning on the audio bus and they're identifying various different fluctuations, and they're trying to tie this back to an individual device. So, each individual device might have a slightly different baseline signature for the audio capture on the audio bus. And, basically, it allows them to have a separate form of fingerprinting that is not dependent on cookies or other things. Now, of course, Brave says that they block this. Brave browser was one of the ones that came out talking about this, and Brave says that they block this type of back-end audio signaling. I don't know if other browsers do or not, but if you're using AliExpress, yeah, they're fingerprinting you based on your audio dbus. Isn't that wonderful? Ads and tracking is infiltrated TVs. Now they're coming for our monitors. No. I will give up on computers and become an Amish guy named Ezekiel if I have no more options to buy dumb monitors. That's right. So this is mostly on the heels of the LG monitor situation that we talked about a couple weeks ago. So one of the recommendations for their guide about when you can't find a dumb TV is to use a monitor instead. But yeah, now they're dangerously encroaching. Of course, if you do not remember the LG monitor situation, if you plugged an LG monitor into a Windows 11 computer, the Windows 11 computer says, hey, it's an LG monitor. And then it goes into the driver tools and installs a very helpful app that started showing you ads for McLaffey, the most hilarious antivirus in Windows. LG lost some trust after a report of its monitors install the McAfee pop-up. Now, Windows made them take the software out, which is fine, but the mere fact that they could do this by simply plugging the monitor into the computer is a dangerous enough prospect. And that's kind of the challenge. So now that they're doing that, what else can be quickly loaded by simply installing, plugging the monitor in? Now, Linux is not as inclined to do this because Linux, even to install drivers, takes manual intervention. So Windows is like, hey, you just plugged something in. This looks malicious. Let's install it. This will be exciting for us all. But they say down here, just because an app may be relevant doesn't mean a monitor should force ads onto a connected device. Why in the world, who greenlit this idea? The app installers page on Microsoft says the app can use all system resources and access your internet connection. The broader LG privacy policy drew concern that LG might use the app to collect data and share it with advertisers. But the privacy policy in the app in Microsoft Store, of course, we did that whole segment on can you trust privacy policies? Of course you can't. The monitor applications distributed through it do not collect, use, store, or share personal information, according to them, until it's found collecting, storing, and using personal information. Then it's just a simple server misconfiguration, you see. Future versions introduce features that involving processing of information. This notice will be updated accordingly. Yeah, are you going to blast it? Are you going to give everybody a giant notice on your screen that the policy has changed too, or are you just going to change it quietly? That's a thought. But this actually, there are a couple companies. There's 3 companies so far making smart monitors: LG, Samsung, and there was a third one down here. It wasn't listed quite as prominently. It's in there somewhere. There was a third monitor as well, but LG and Samsung are doing most of these. LG and Samsung monitors use the same ad-serving OSs as their respective smart TVs do, meaning they're poised to use automatic content recognition. So yeah, whatever you're doing on your computer is now being collected and sent on back. It was bad enough when it was just your TV. Now it's your computer. So when using a smart monitor, you not only have to worry about the monitor could be tracking you, but the OS operator, such as Google for Android-powered smart monitors, and any third-party apps like Netflix can do. So you have 3 different devices that can all be tracking you by using a smart monitor. How wonderful. Privacy policies for monitors by LG, Samsung, Acer was the third one. All state the companies may share data collected from its devices with advertisers. Wonderful. Oh, wonderful. So ads and OSs could one day help drive down monitor prices. Monitors right now, in fact, I'm running, when I got here, I had a couple monitors still in storage. So I'm using 2 on monitors on this computer setup. But I had I knew I was 1 monitor short. So I found a 27-inch monitor open box at Best Buy. It cost me $99. It's a Dell monitor. It is absolutely amazing monitor. Dual HDMI input. It has fairly good speakers, 27-inch screen. And then I had another monitor, and I had 2 more that actually have, they're old and they have lines in the screens now. So it's like I could use them in an emergency. I might throw one in the garage for the security system. But here we got, I was like, yeah, let me see if I can either find, because I think I have 1 more monitor that's, no, okay. So it was this monitor, one of these monitors here, I didn't have the mount for it. Which I end up subsequently finding the mount, but I'm like, okay, let me see if I can find another mount for one of the other monitors or whatever else. And then I go to Best Buy, I'm looking around, I'm about to buy a monitor, and I see a second one of those 27-inch Dell monitors for $99. So I bought that monitor as well. So now I have 2 dual 27-inch monitors for my work and my media computers, and then I have 2 24-inch monitors over here. And that was good because I still have my 22-inch monitors both in the van. So I still have a dual monitor system in the van for when I travel. So that's kind of what we're doing here. But yeah, these monitors, like, we need to stop pushing this. And people, for the love, if they start selling smart monitors, don't buy them. Make sure, because here's the funny thing. If you buy them and they fly off the shelves, the company's going to be like, dude, people like them. And they're going to stop making the dumb monitors. And all you're ever going to find anywhere is smart monitors. Oh, boy. So don't buy them. Buy the dumb monitors. You don't need anything here. All right. These zombie cards. These zombie cards. Apparently, many expired credit cards can still be used for purchases on your account, no less. Isn't that great? So apparently the expiration date in some payment terminals was not effectively collecting the data and blocking it. So it's like, as long as the number was valid, the expiration date didn't really matter. So that was kind of a problem. Now, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover, in all cases, their expired cards did not actually work. But many Visa cards went through, and all of the other ones, they did a number of cards here. Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, multiple terminals, multiple merchants, and 5 U.S. banks. The Visa cards frequently would let transactions be made. So if you do have an expired credit card, don't just throw it away. Destroy that thing. Tear it up, destroy it, throw it through a shredder, burn it, do whatever else you need to do. Treat it like Jason Voorhees, blow him up, stick his head in the blender, mail the rest of the parts to Norway. Was that was in Monster Squad, right? What was the name of that movie, Monster Squad? Let me know. It was, if you blew him up, stuck his head in a blender, and sent the rest of the parts, it was somewhere else. He'd still come back from the dead. That was part 3. All right. So destroy those cards. Make sure they're completely destroyed. And they recommend specifically make at least 3 cuts through the card and the chip to make sure the antennas and all that contactless. Oh, and by the way, all this stuff is through the contactless. So if you have an expired card in your wallet that's not properly RFID protected, somebody could come by with a skimmer and skim it. Aura, this is the Ring company Aura. They have they're facing a lawsuit accusing of misleading consumers about sleep tracking accuracy. Of course, they say that they can detect, some of their marketing says they can detect the phases of sleep just as good as a hospital and a sleep clinic can. And scientists are coming out saying, no, that's actually quite impossible to do, even though they have marketing about that. So basically, they're being sued in an attempted class action suit about deceptive marketing, that the Ring cost $300. And, it's not necessarily collecting useful data. They say in here, people rely on these devices to give useful information. And if it's giving you wrong information based on coin tosses and AI guesses, that's not really good enough. And so basically the Ring comes out, of course, like, we stand behind our science, our research, and our accuracy claims. We can't prove it, but, so that's kind of what the court case will actually try and prove or disprove or push them into a settlement. Who knows? So, yeah, Aura rings. Listen here, hell is freezing over because, of course, that psychopath in that image right there. Now, people have asked, why is that creepy image up there? It's to remind you that rich billionaire oligarchs are always looking over your shoulder, so you got to be careful about what you do. But one of those on that is Bill Gates. And Bill Gates just came out with something, and hell is freezing over because I have to agree with Bill Gates. Please, people, tell me where I'm wrong here, so that I don't have to agree with Bill Gates. All right. Let's see here. So Bill Gates wants to see a robot tax and human reserved jobs. Now, again, I like this approach. Let's start with the robot tax. So when you in a company hire something, if you've only ever worked for an employee, for an employer, and you have a W-2, you look at that, look at your taxes on your W-2. I know that's a painful thing, but look at the FICA tax. That is your Social Security tax, and see what that number is in that percentage. It's is it 15 or is it 7? I think it's 7. The thing is that for an employee, you are paying half of your Social Security and your employer is paying half your Social Security. For the people like me who work entirely for ourselves and are not reliant on other people, at least on a boss and a job, I am definitely relying on other people. I'm relying on customers for web management stuff. I'm relying on you guys if you want to help support the channel any way that you choose to help support. I'm definitely reliant, and I absolutely appreciate all of it because we all got bills to pay. And, if I bring you good content that's useful, it's always a benefit. But what I mean by that is by not having a wage payroll job, everything I do falls under self-employment. And because everything falls under self-employment, I have to pay both ends of that Social Security tax, which, by the way, I'll point out that I even have statements from the Social Security office that says I will never collect it. So I am feeding money into a Ponzi scheme that will have crashed before I get there. Thank you, Bernie Madoff, aka the government, for stealing all of my money. Whereas if I put that money into good, solid investments, I'd have a huge nest egg to rest on. Unfortunately, I don't have money to put into those things because the government keeps stealing it all in the form of wage theft that is called taxes. And I honestly, too, I really wish everybody had to write quarterly checks. If nobody got that money taken out of your check and automatically sent to the government and everybody had to write quarterly checks to the government, y'all might pay a lot more attention to what they're spending our money on and pay a lot more attention to who's actually in those offices and positions. Because it drives me crazy that I have to give so much money to the government and then to turn around and be like, yeah, we just bought a bunch of condoms for people over there in Africa. I don't care about the people in Africa. If they can't figure out how to keep their private parts to themselves over there and not get AIDS, that's their problem. I have a different problem over here. Our country is falling apart. We need to stop doing that. But the problem here is that an employer, when he brings on an employee, he's got to pay all these extra wage payroll taxes to the government. It's not only just the FICA tax, it's also any benefits. That when a company broke a contract with me once, they had to pay not only my wages for the whole year, they also had to pay the value of the benefits package. So while my salary was a modest amount, they had to pay almost twice what my salary is for the extra benefits package that I was effectively deprived of. And they knew if they didn't do that they would really lose a lawsuit. And so that's kind of what they did. So now what we're seeing right now is all of these companies can bring on robots, lay off the workers, and just have one basic flat fee for a robot that in many cases costs a third of the salary for the year. Apparently my globe has run out of battery. And so with that, what we see here is they're doing this. So Bill Gates says, hey, whenever a company hires a robot to replace a human, they need to pay the taxes to the government that are consonant with what that human would have cost in taxes anyway. I have to agree with him. I think it's a good idea. I don't know. What do you guys think? Tell me where I'm wrong, because I do not want to agree with this evil psychopath. The second one is reserving certain jobs just for humans. Now, this one here, I diverge from him a little bit in that he's talking about the evolving job market. He's looking at the fact that, they have a whole lot more and not evolve it, because we look at what's going on with a lot of people being replaced by AI or robots, and the AI and the robots can do a really good job at the basic level 1 stuff. Well, actually, no, I'm not sure they can. I actually got a Gemma 3 model to give up the other day. I got the sycophant to say, I don't know, I'm done. We were trying to solve a real world problem on a cPanel server, right? It's a WHM server with a lot of stuff on it. And we patched a breach. And then what happened is there was, we were getting misconfigurations on the disk usage. And because the misconfigurations on the disk usages were reporting the wrong numbers, then what ended up happening with the server is it couldn't do the backups properly on the internal. So I have an internal backup system and an external backup system on the server. I couldn't get the internal backup server working because the disk usage quotas were misreading, and the system was misreading. There wasn't enough disk space to do the backup, even though there definitely was. I spent 2 weeks on this problem, and we're doing a lot of things and all the stuff, you're looking into it, and it was all kind of tied to, like, you know, your email accounts. I'm like, no, the biggest problem, the biggest account on this with the biggest discrepancy doesn't have email servers running at all. So it's not that. And we looked at 5 different things that it could possibly be. Wasn't any of it. So I'm feeding all this stuff into Gemma 3. Gemma 3 is fun. It's like, I don't know, man. I give up. Like, yeah. Turns out I need to run one script on the back end of the WHM that none of my research showed me. I just searched for completely different unrelated terms, finally find it, resolved all of it. It was like, really? That's all it took. Somebody could have put that into something like 2 weeks ago, solved the problem. But the problem is that the reason I know how to do all that kind of stuff and hunt all these things down is because I've been managing servers for 20 years, or 15 years for managing servers. And so looking at that, you don't learn a lot of those things without doing the low level stuff first. That's the thing that we need to look at. Is looking at all of the low level, the high level, and things like this. By saying, we'll just let the AI do the low levels and we'll save the high levels for the, you know, the knowledgeable people. Well, those knowledgeable people are eventually going to die or retire or move on to something better or realize somebody else will pay them a whole lot more for their knowledge. And you do not have a crop of people to move into that position because you have prevented everybody from doing the basic low-level work. And so that's what Bill Gates is getting at here, is that we have to save this. Now, he's saying it, well, we need to do this so that people have enough jobs, which is already a fundamental problem. I'm saying that we need to do this for a different reason, and that's that people do not become high-level experts without being low-level engineers. We need those low-level engineers not to be taken by AI or robots, but by actual real people so they can learn the experiences they need to become the higher level people. That is a fundamental thought. So let me know your thoughts about all of that. And we will switch over. We have a couple of SillyVille articles. First, I know that you guys, if any of you guys are out there, you know, you're thinking, man, I should go to the beach for a little bit. Think twice. A drone video shows hundreds of sharks in shallow water off the North Carolina shore. Do 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 Outer Banks do 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 do. Okay, so they're flying some drones around over here, and yeah, they're flying some drones around, and they get the drones out. All of these little dots over there are all sharks. Yeah, waters off the coast of North Carolina teeming with sharks on Saturday after a drone video captured people with hundreds of sharks in shallow water near the beach. Oh boy, how wonderful. Look at that. There's Jaws right there. There he is. That's pretty close to the beach. Don't go swimming there, folks. Don't go swimming there. Good thing we got that drone stuff there. Flume estimated the sharks to be 4 to 5 feet long, noting that the video also captured what appears to be a mantis stingray or a stingray near the end. According to North Carolina Shark Conservatory, the state's coastal waters serve as a highway for migrating sharks, making seasonal migrations normal along the coast. There you go. There you go. That is a creepy dude. Look at those teeth. Oh. Ugh. Anyway, everybody's like jumping on board. I gotta see GTA 6, man. The whole world's losing its mind over GTA 6. I think that that Nancy is it Nancy Clarence, whoever that woman's case is, Lindsay Clancy case, is that what it is the sign of the mentally ill ladies right now. If you're like siding with her, yeah, if you're running all over the internet to get a quick look at GTA 6, you're the gentleman out here, this might be your sign of being crazy. I gotta see it. So, of course, there is actually a leaker that I guess is driving Rockstar crazy, that is actually leaking legitimate scenes from this. Well, right about the time, is this the first time ever an extended look on a premiere on Netflix to see the footage of the video game? Y'all are lost your minds, just so you know. Now, I'm not a gamer, but I mean, yeah. So, of course, because scammers and malicious actors jump onto anything people are flocking to, yeah, there's now a whole lot of malware promising to show footage, demo copies, a bunch of things. And basically all they're doing is running the new version of the GTA 6 installer, which is actually the browser plugin theft thing that will steal all your session cookies, allowing you to get into all of your accounts without 2FA or your blessed passkeys or whatever else. So they can steal all of your stuff all because you wanted a quick glimpse at a game that's got to be one of the most morally bankrupt games there is. And that's my opinion, you know. The first one, okay, because it looked like Frogger. Everything after that, this is a game that absolutely it glorifies a criminal underworld. And no. It's I'd rather watch what somebody in a group chat sent me a message of it was free to watch on Pluto. It was the lesbian space princesses. I don't know. I'm not sure. If you sat me down and said, all right, you got to either play GTA 6 or watch the lesbian space princesses, I'm not sure which one I'd want to subject myself to. But yeah, so scammers are getting in there because everyone's all going obsessed and losing their mind over this. So it's a great way to steal a bunch of people's session cookies. Okay. All right, well, let's check in and see how the Robot Olympics are doing. The good news is, folks, is that it looks like the human advantage is still there over Skynet for now, but it's still going. I don't know if there's any audio in here I need to pay attention to, but let's go ahead and have a look here. So here it is. He's running. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Well, burn. Okay, I think I actually scrolled up a little bit there in the end, so we got to see this again. There you go. Run, bonk. Whoops. Team Human. All right. Let's see. We got this guy here. This guy here has lost his connection to the mainstream server. It looks like it's having a seizure. Now they got to try and struggle for the power button. So I'd say humans 2, robots 0 on this one. Oh boy. Yeah. Humans 2, robots 0. All right. This one here, I'm not sure who's winning this one. I watched this one a couple times to figure out exactly what's going on. We've got a boxing match between the robot and the human. So this one will give us that really, okay, so I don't know if he scored a point or why he's backing up so much, and that cameraman needs a lesson. That must be the white tourists over there, because the Chinese folks, man, how much they use cameras, they are way better at managing cameras than this. White men can't jump, we can't film either, you know? So like I have no idea who's actually going to winning this one or not. This one's like a tie maybe. I don't know. Let's see how this video ends, because it looks like it's a draw. All right. So this is a 1-1 draw. Okay. So we'll call this robots 1, humans 3. This one here beats the 100-meter world record. And apparently he's Forrest Gump. Okay, all right. Humans 4, robots 1. All right, let's see. Oh dear, we got a bunch of them. Can you hear Emperor Mao in the background reading some Hitler speech? the clone army. They're here. I guess this is the drone army. I'm going to go with this one's just neutral. It's just showing their numbers. So yeah, so far humans have the advantage over the robots, but let me know your thoughts about all those in the comments down below. All right, let's check in on our comments here. Got 11 watching over on Rumble. Let's see. Privacy policy. Rules are subject to change without your consent or knowledge. Yep. Motorola phones are garbage. I say tax the robots for each dollar they save by firing a human. There you go. Duress pin, only advantage Graphene OS has over other Android projects. If I could daily post market OS, I would. Yep. Out loud, most of the time, a monitor you plug in doesn't need a driver to function. Then again, I believe LG is partnered with Palantir. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. And we got 37 watching on ZTubies. I did see a super chat come through. Thank you for that. Let me find that. Meat Shame, $5 super chat. Thank you very much. Inflation is the silent way a country declares bankruptcy, says Ron Paul. Yeah, there you go. That's actually a good one. Yeah. Because it's getting super expensive out there. Let's see. You believe in the devil, you must believe in Jesus. Can't have one without the other. Yeah. Look at Matrix live chat. I put the definition of open source. I don't have my Matrix open tonight. Take less definition from Matrix, where the woke-X define things that is not valid. Send the link from free software to the Matrix live chat room. Yeah, there's a fight about what is open source. But was done on purpose so Motorola can say, look, nobody wants privacy OS, just look at the sales. Yeah, well, and the other thing, the phone does not ship with Graphene OS. It's just capable of Graphene OS. So you got to buy the right Moto phone, and then you still have to flash it yourself. Diversity and inclusion, education. Forgot you were streaming again. Ever think of after thinking about it earlier today? You need Vinus or something. Yeah. Hey, we're always saying time. You can always just set an alarm on your phone, or something like that. Super late. Well, hello, Dark Horse. Benefit from Facebook Meta outage. Yep. Suck on a QuickBooks ad. Ugh. I'm sorry. I definitely do not recommend QuickBooks. I got rid of that crap as soon as I could. Intuit, the company behind them, they tie all of their stuff together, except I think TurboTax. They also own TurboTax. They're not allowed by law to merge TurboTax information with everything else. But QuickBooks, they also own MailChimp now. They owned, I think they bought one of the budget balancing applications, but I think they bought it to kill it. As I think that one closed down. But basically, your QuickBooks and your MailChimp accounts, they can sync those together on their backend servers and collect a bunch more information about you. And QuickBooks is dangerous to give them that information. They have intimate details about your business through QuickBooks. Asterisk onto a Pi, add extensions with creds, then matched up on VoIP phone with respective extension. It's an iPhone Bluetooth bug that gets me all the time. Yeah. Either buy a dumb monitor or gut the Mobo and replace the basic display driver board. Yeah, there you go. My laptop is a dumb monitor, right? Used to give away TVs or sell them. Nowadays, if the TV isn't smart, I hoard it just in case. Yeah, absolutely. Companies in corps are using smart monitors so they can track employees even harder. Yeah, that's possible. Reasons called a monitor. It monitors you. There you go. Dumb TV did you buy? She found an Insignia N10 or N20 at Best Buy. It was in town. Yeah, we bought the last dumb TV in the town. No smart anything, just inputs. Yeah. Drive down the price when milk will cost $10 a quart. Well, the funny thing is milk's price is kept artificially high. The government makes farmers dump millions of gallons of milk down the drain just to keep the prices stabilized. Whereas they could very easily just give all that milk out to food banks or whatever else. And actually, Lord forbid we feed it, or Lord forbid we give it away to free for the schools, so the schools don't have all that stuff there, Office building beside the house. Tech Exchange had 30% off sale on monitors this week. I almost bought a few. Ooh, that's good. Yeah, why smart monitors? I have no idea. Once again, thank you for that super chat. Just counted it again. Not a one little African. I can't help them. I'm here. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all these, you know what you want to do? All these people whining about U.S. aid being cut, all these philanthropist governments being cut. You want to know why? They're go and put real pressure on the tech billionaires. They're the ones that hoarded all the money. Jeff Bezos, and I'm not for communism or wealth redistribution, but let's not use Bezos. What we're going to use is it was either Whoopi Goldberg or Oprah Winfrey. One of those two and The Rock. Both had houses on Maui. Combined, they have a net worth, I want to say their combined net worth, I think, was in the billions. And they're begging people to give donations to help rebuild Maui after the fire. Those two could rebuild the entire island 5 times over and still have more money than they would ever possibly need to live on. Why are you asking poor people who don't have money to eat for donations when you're sitting here on a stockpile of cash? That's the problem. That all of these people who have no morality and no ethics and want to do nothing but hoard as much as they possibly can for themselves, they have driven up the price for everything. Once again, I will mention, because the stream is almost over here, I will mention once again, True Stream Media today just did a video. It's like a 40-minute video, and it is something called something like "We Were Not Meant to Live This Way." Absolutely excellent video on the price rises and basically pricing people out of life. These private equity firms are pricing people out of life. It's crazy. And they're just sitting here on millions and billions of dollars, so bored with it. Bezos is out there building millennium clocks in mountain caves. Zuckerberg's building a doomsday bunker on Hawaii. And the whole world around them is going to crap. And one of the things these people are going to realize eventually is that we don't have any money for your toys anymore. And that's going to be the market collapse. My recommendation, here's one of the reasons I got a place out where I had some land out here. Next year, we start production of growing a lot more of my own food because we might need it. Become a little bit more sustainable like that. You want to help the little Africans over there with their condoms and whatever else? Go ask Bezos. He's got all the money now. We don't. Our government's in debt. Trillions of dollars. We'll never pay it off. I think the good Christian folk in the world, we do our best. We donate when we can. We help when we can. But sometimes we can't help as much when so much of our income is going towards higher costs of living, and so much of our income is going towards government taxes so they can turn around and take money we don't have and bomb Iran and cause our gas prices to skyrocket. What the hell, So it's crazy. We got some issues today. Going to do Techlore's and anonymity video when video task soon, whatever you call that. Okay, cool. Baby shark, do 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 do. Yeah. Grandma shark, do do. They want to climb in their careers around here. They stick to their unskilled labor positions and complain they can't afford anything. Sharks have to get their swimmers tax in. Well, they can, as Labor Day is right around the corner. There you go. Or the leaker hacked one of the Rockstar's smart monitors to get the leaked footage. that'd be funnily ironic. Fun fact, author of the novel that Jaws is based on later grew to regret the negativity given to sharks and became a shark conservationist. Nice. Now, I believe I read a report that the kid in the original Jaws is now the sheriff of the island where they shot Jaws. Like father, like son, I guess. In general, morally bankrupt players, GTA are criminals in training. It's possible. We're in a training wall on the way to his office programmer. Robot kicking a guy in the Family Jewels is one of the best I've seen. Yeah. To kick the kid. Yeah. Just want to know if there will ever be any more Tux Traveler videos. Always like that channel. You started and stuff. Yeah, so I have no idea. I'll put it this way. And here's why for me. Obviously, Switch to Linux is the big channel and actually helps pay the bills. Also, the funding from Switch to Linux helps keep my publishing going, allowing me to get books out. The next biggest channel I have is Writing Done Right, which I pop in for a video every other month at this point in time, but I want to have much more time to do that. And we also have more Bible studies I want to start putting back on the Christian channel. And since I'm not traveling in the van full time, it's not likely, although... And a lot of the reason I stopped doing the Tux Traveler videos is because for a period of time, we were not allowed to film on national park land and upload the content. And what I was doing is I was doing some basic travel stuff, but I was also highlighting all the national parks around the country. Now, I still have footage. I could actually go back through all of the footage I have for the parks I didn't actually upload, and I could actually do videos and upload them. I have all of the footage for all of the parks I went to. So in theory, I could upload some of that stuff, but being as I'm not in the van full time, it's not a huge priority for me. And as far as channel size, it's much smaller than everything else. And priorities, I just don't know if I'll be doing more Tux Traveler videos. But let me know what type of stuff did you like? Did you like to see the travel component, or did you like to see the van build type component? That would be an interesting thought. And who knows, maybe I'll keep the van and travel once a month and do a once a month travel video. Who knows? I mean, but yeah, it's crazy. Growing your food in America is illegal to force small farmers. No, it's not illegal. If you promote it on social media, Facebook will add you to the list of potentially dangerous white supremacist and militia guys. They actually will. But no, it's not illegal to grow your own food. It's not even illegal to grow your own food and sell it. It's actually quite thing. They are forcing small farmers out. In fact, there was an excellent video this week from A More Perfect Union, looking at fruit and the private equity took over the fruit industries. So yes, they are forcing out small farmers out of business. That is true, but it's not because it's illegal. It's because it's not as cost affordable for the small farmers when the corporate farmers can come in and do 10 times the amount for half the cost. Because of course they're giving us horrible, dangerous food, which is another problem. Social programs can sometimes go too far. African government also takes the majority of the money and leaves nothing for anybody. Yeah. Small farmers complain, what's happening? You cannot give away eggs in America. You require a license. No, that's actually not entirely true either. You can give away eggs. To sell them, especially, let's see, do you have to? I actually don't know if you need a license specifically to sell eggs. I don't think you actually do. I know you are perfectly capable to give away eggs. As far as selling is, you go in the countryside, tons and tons and tons of people will have egg stands. You just go out there, throw your couple bucks in there and take a dozen eggs with you. That does not specifically require a license. Now, it might, depending on where city you're in, things like that. Things like raw milk is highly regulated in some states, not others. So some states it's completely banned, which is a problem. Hear about animal passport that certain countries are passing. So one with a German Shepherd that looks like a mugshot. Oh, God, no, I didn't see that. That's hilarious. 24 hours in a day and we don't live forever. Yep, understand that. Yep. 20 kilogram bag of canola seed equals $5,000, guys. Yeah. 25 kilograms bag of canola seed equals a lot of toxic waste. So ask me. So many things I want to do. I can't run 4 channels. Totally. Yeah, that's the thing. Go eggs. He got in trouble with the state. It depends on what state you're in, and things like that. Aquaponics. Yeah, I ran some small scale aquaponics. I've actually built some aquaponics stuff. Before I ran this channel, we were actually experimenting with a couple different builds of aquaponics, and I built all the stuff myself. I actually had a bin of fish that was basically the natural fertilizer for it. So yeah, and we got a little bit of success with that, but it'd be really fun to experiment with that some more and to see what else I could do to make it a little bit better, make it a little bit, basically there's things I could do with some of that stuff that I would like to try. I don't know. It's fun stuff I'd like to do. So anyway, I think we've hit the bottom of the YouTube comments. Let's see if we got more over here. However, use the demo Tuxedo OS. You can run Windows 7 or update the BIOS and put AMD Zen 3. Well, the Tuxedo OS video I did was actually this same computer. I have an IC dock in this system, so I just pop out the hard drive, and I have another drive that I use to test distros on. From Brazil, and normally people become responsible for the donated food. Thus, any potential harm caused by the food can be attributed to the donor. Yeah, that can be the case in the United States as well. So you do have to be careful with some of that. That's why, like, when I go down to the camps, right, and I'm in charge of the kitchen for the one camp, we are allowed to take food donations for processed foods that are in the box. We are not allowed to take donations for things that people make in their kitchens. It's like if you make cookies in your kitchen, we can't come in and serve those to the kids. Curiously, I looked this up in the state we were in because one of the people brought us a bunch of raw eggs. So I'm there looking at the state health code laws to see if are we allowed to serve raw eggs to the kids. That was a question we had. So I actually looked into it, and in the state we were in, actually the answer is yes, but we have to inform them of it. So what we actually did with them is we used the eggs for all staff meals, and we just told the staff, hey, some of the eggs are raw eggs. Let me know if you don't want that. And nobody cared because it's a bunch of Christians who are, many of them come from very sustainable houses that do their own stuff like that, so it's like, yeah, we don't care. Good. Awesome. More nutrition, so we use the raw eggs for the staff let them know in a simple staff meeting globally until we ran out. And then we used the commercially purchased eggs for all the kids stuff. So, but yeah, even in our state without license or anything else, we were allowed to use raw eggs that were donated to us. There wasn't a problem with that. We just had to inform them of that. So yeah. Let's see. Yeah, looks like don't like canola. It's for cooking as pork. Oh yeah. Well, do you know why it's called canola oil? Why is cornseed oil called cornseed oil, and olive oil called olive oil, and why is canola oil called canola oil? Let me give you a brief history before we wrap it up, shall we? Canola oil is actually from rapeseed. Rapeseed is the primary component is called erucic acid. It's a monounsaturated C18, I think. And it, for the longest time, was considered toxic. In fact, if you want to see a fun, fairly, actually historically accurate movie on some of this, the movie Lorenzo's Oil is an excellent film that talks about the treatment of adrenal leukodystrophy, which is a neurological disorder that strips myelin off of the nerve sheaths, leading to paralysis and death. And the doctors were running too slow and weren't paying enough attention to. They were basically treating all these kids as science projects, not as children who all had like a 2-year clock for life. So the parents of the one boy, whose name was Lorenzo, actually mortgaged their houses, studied a whole lot of things, and actually did a ton of research and discovered what caused ALD to happen was a biosynthesis chain that you could keep it busy with competitive inhibition, what we know in toxicology is competitive inhibition. And to do that, you had to block it with 2 oils. One of those was it was the primary component of olive oil. Why am I not remembering that one? The other one, though, was rapeseed oil, which is erucic acid. Well, at that time, which was the 80s, erucic acid had a lot of these research reports saying how toxic it was. And so no human study review commission, oleic acid, that's olive oil. No, the human review studies would not allow anything to do with the rapeseed oil because of its connection to cancer and other issues. And so the parents went outside the country, had a chemist purify erucic acid from rapeseed oil, imported it bootleg into the United States, used this in a combination with the purified oleic acid, and they actually stopped the progression of the disease. To this day, every child is tested for ALD and is given a strict diet, including his oil for it, because it stops the progression of the disease. Well, at that time, of course, erucic acid was so toxic, nobody would ever do it. It wasn't until Canada figured out how to mass produce the type of stuff that they're like, we can extract the oil and cook with it. Canola oil is literally erucic acid, the thing that scientists in the 80s did not want to use to help children because of the concerns that it has. I'm like, yeah, kind of crazy. So they called it canola oil because of all of the scientific literature dealing with rapeseed oil, which is what it actually is. Canola oil, Canada. It's the only oil named for the country, not the plant. All right. Well, that was a fun history lesson. With that, I think we will wrap this one up here. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for the support and all that. With that, guys, enjoy your weekend, and we will see you next time.